Hi, this is Dan Decoteau. I'm up next on Quad Radio.
Ready for snowshoe this weekend, Brandon? Are you? That's cool. Stop, Billy. Yeah. It's supposed to be pretty nasty this weekend up on Snowshoe Mountain. Stop it, Billy. I'm pretty pumped. Put the brakes on. DP brakes. Good enough to stop my ATV, his ATV, and hell, it'll even stop a Billy.
It's another great day in Quad Radio USA. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the voice of the ATV Racing Nation, quadradio.net. I'm Rodney Tomlin, and my guest up next here on Quad Radio Prodigies is Daniel Decoteau. And, of course, before that, let's say thanks to some great folks, our good friends here at DP Brakes. What's stopping you? And, of course, DP Brakes, our presenting sponsor of Quad Prodigies, and we want to say thanks to them and also let you know you can email them up and look for your chance to possibly pick up some sponsorship and some great savings on DP Brakes and more. Be sure and hit them up. The email address will be located on screen throughout the entire show. We also want to take this opportunity to send a special shout out to our good friends at 88 Live to Ride, racing towards rider safety. You can check out their Facebook page and find out a little bit more about what they're about, but they're a great organization, and likely you don't know a whole lot about them unless you need them, and that's whenever they come in to play the most. And we want to say thanks to Debbie Bartosik and the entire foundation for the great things that they do with the mobile medical unit at the ATV Motocross Nationals, and of course just the true dedication in her heart and soul to the sport. We also want to say thanks to our good friends at Jansen Motorsports, ATV Racing Parts and Service, and our good friends up there always taking good care of you, as well as Walker Fowler Racing, Race Prep, and bike builds coming soon with four-time national champion mechanic Mark Notman soon there at Walker Fowler Racing. We'll have more details on that when that comes up. We also want to take this opportunity to say thanks to All Task Construction, all your building needs out of Lehigh, Pennsylvania, 610-217-0011, and be looking for some great designs coming soon from our friends at JSR Moto Designs, ATV Nerf bars and nets, and of course those custom apparel. And with that, we say hello and welcome to this guy right here, Daniel Decoteau, who I have butchered for so many years. I've called him Daniel Decoteau, but I was not far off, and I've even been told, after you told me and we spoke, I was like, I remember that now. It's just, for some reason, I couldn't grasp it. But welcome to now GNCC, Dan Decoteau. And Dan, formerly ATV, and I'm sure does still do a little bit of ATV motocross, but Dan, welcome to Quad Radio Prodigies, man.
It's going great. It's going great. I'm looking forward to making the transition. I've been a little motocross this year, a little GNCC, but next year all GNCC.
Awesome, man. I guess first and foremost, let's introduce Dan Decoteau. Where are you from? How old are you? What class you race? And what do you do, man?
Well, I'm 50 years old. I'm from Lansdale, Pennsylvania. I'm in a District 6 as far as motocross and air scrambles go. And I basically just looking to make a transition over the next few months and try a new sport. Awesome, man.
That's great. ATV racing is certainly deep in your blood, and that's something you don't want to give up. And well, let's talk a little bit about the moto. You've been motoing for a few years, man, and I remember just a handful of years ago, a couple of years ago, you were like probably in the peak physical condition of your life. I mean, you were chiseled, you were training like a madman. I mean, it was amazing. I seen a transformation in you that was just unreal, and in rider on and off the racetrack.
Yeah, in 2016, I put a lot of effort into going after a title or two. Ran both of the 40-plus classes. I won the B class and fell a little short in the open class, unfortunately, and that was the one I was really chasing more than anything. But sometimes you fall a little short. I did put the work in. I was proud of where I came from because I broke my neck the year before. So to come back and get in the physical shape that I got in took a lot of work. I started off not being able to do anything more than 5 push-ups going into my workout. And the program sponsored me that year, Dom from the program, and he brought me a long way.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'd forgotten that you'd broke your neck. How'd you break your neck? Was it in an ATV racing accident that you'd done that?
Yeah, I was at the not the proving grounds, the underground down in Texas, and just a freak accident. I felt like I needed to get off my bike because I knew I was going to crash, and I hit the eject, and somehow I guess my head hit the dirt or something, and my neck broke, and they medevaced me out of there.
Wow, man, that's an amazing turnaround.
Yeah, it was something I didn't expect. I've crashed many times over the years, and that would just seem like a very simple nothing thing. It turned out to be a big thing.
But boy, you came back and faced your demons the next year. I think that's pretty impressive stuff right there.
It was funny because that was actually my first race back at the Nationals. So the track where I got hurt, I had to face my demons.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. Were you a little nervous? Or were you felt confident in your abilities that you were going to be able to overcome it?
I felt confident. I did a lot of training down in Florida that year, so I had been on my bike a lot. Just hadn't been at a gate drop.
So, man, that's crazy. Now, how old are you again?
I'm 50 years old.
50 years old. And, most of the time when something like that would happen, to most individuals, breaking their neck at, say, 47 or so years old, 46, however old it was whenever you broke your neck, most people would be like, okay, maybe that's the sign that I might be getting a little too old. That just seemed to actually motivate you more.
It did. It motivated me. I'm definitely that kind of a person. I get motivated by my bad comings. My son was also racing at the time, and that to me was a very key thing in my life. The two of us continuing to race, and I wasn't going to not race, with him racing, and I wanted to be by his side at the same time as he wanted to be by my side.
Oh, obviously, and that's great. You guys got to share a lot together, I guess, huh?
Well, when you travel 20,000 miles in an RV together, you have a lot to talk about.
You make stuff up, if nothing else, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I could say about this sport more than anything. The bond that you build with your family or your son or whoever it may be, there's no bond like that in the world. It's just amazing what the motocross or what the racing family brings to the table. My son's 20 years old now, and I feel like he's gone in a really good direction. And I think it has a lot to do with his motocross background.
Yeah, it teaches a lot of things, discipline, and like you say, just being around. I mean, it's obviously a good influence. I think you can bring a good influence as a parent whenever you travel together like that. You have your finger kind of on the pulse of what's taking place, I think, in that individual's life.
Yeah. I think one of the things that it teaches a youngster, too, is disappointment. Because in racing, not everything always goes your way. So you got to learn disappointment. And a lot of youngsters nowadays don't really know what disappointment is until they become a young adult, and then it smacks them in the face.
That's a very good point. It's one of the very few things, unless you're a 50cc rider, that everybody gets a trophy in. You know what I mean? Just for showing up, basically, a participant award. We do that for the 50cc's, but for obvious reasons. Those kids are like 5 and 6 years old, and some of them may never have a chance to do it again. It's a great memento, there's no doubt. But moving on, I mean, I think that's a very good point. Disappointment, being taught disappointment. We don't want our kids to be disappointed, but we have to face reality. Life is full of it, and if they learn how to deal with it at a younger age, it certainly helps them when they get a little older.
Oh yeah. Disappointment because your bike didn't start on the line is a lot easier to accept. The real life disappointments. So we might as well learn the easy ones.
That's very good. Sometimes they seem so monumental, though. At times things get so heated in something like that. Well, Daniel, Dan, I guess you go by more. I call you Daniel,
Dan,
but
yeah, Dan or Daniel, it doesn't matter.
uh, the the transition that you're making. What prompted this? And tell me a little bit about how you got into the GNCC and how your transition has been going.
Well, I did motocross. I started motocross one. So there was a lot of years of up and downs in the motocross venue. I saw the sport grow. I saw the sport, fall apart for a few years, and I saw, manufacturers come back and it grow again. And, I kind of felt like motocross isn't as strong as it was, 5 years ago, because there's not the support there that the manufacturers were there before. And for me, it was more than anything, it was a time thing. I felt like I could go to a GNCC and not spend quite as much time, but still go do something that I love to do. And up until this year, I never rode on a trail before in my life. I bought a bike and went to a motocross track 3 weeks after I bought a quad, and I was hooked from that day forward.
Wow.
So it's new to me, and the reason I've gone to it is, like I said, I felt like the GNCC world was growing, and the motocross world is in a transitional phase right now. And I won a title, and I thought, go to a GNCC and try something I had never done before and see if I can't get my hands on a title there too.
Well, I'll tell you what, it seems like I've seen you several times this season after some of the most challenging races I think we've had. And every time that I've seen you, man, your tongue has been out. You have been muddy, mud in your eyes and your face and your teeth, sweat, snot. The true, if you go to a GNCC and the checker flag comes off, that's what these guys look like whenever they first roll off the track and they take their helmet off. It's not a pretty sight, man. But at the same time, I mean, as rough and beat up as you look, man, there just seemed to be a sense of accomplishment in your eyes at the same time.
Oh yeah, definitely. The first GNCC I went to was down in South Carolina, and I was running well. I was in third place the entire race, but I got so many blisters I just couldn't hold on to the handlebars anymore. So I decided to take a pass on the last lap, and I learned a lot. I learned that I needed to make a lot of changes to my bike. And then after that, I said, okay, I'm going to either know whether I like this or I hate this sport. What's the hardest one? And I waited for snowshoe, and I went to that one.
Wow.
They said that's the hardest.
Yeah. How was that one for you?
Well, it was challenging like all of them. I got a flat tire on the first lap, and I rode the entire race with a flat tire. And I was exhausted. I was totally exhausted, but I finished. And that's what I set out to do, was to go there and to finish the race, and that's what I did.
Wow, it becomes amazing where it goes from trying to win an event, a race, your class, to just finishing. I mean, that says something. I mean, there's a lot of challenges in a GNCC, I guess. I mean, the competition's there too, obviously. You want to beat them, but I love the different elements that you have at a GNCC. It's everything from the elements of the weather to the particular track that you're on and the competition. I mean, there's just so many elements to a GNCC.
The one thing that I could say I've learned so far this year is bike setup is totally different and so important. And I also learned that making no mistakes is very important. You come from motocross where you just go 110% for a short period of time to an event where, you can make a mistake, but it's a costly mistake, because if you make a mistake and you got to pull your bike out of a rut or something, it just exhausts your energy out of your body. And that's what I've learned, with the 4 that I've done so far, no mistakes. And that's that's going to be a challenge for me. I make mistakes. Everybody does.
Yeah, that's a good learning curve for you. So you've done 4, and see, the last one you did was St. Clairsville, correct? I guess this past Powerline Park.
Powerline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the last one I did, and I ran the afternoon event, which is the first time I went out in the afternoon, and I ran with the 40+ B class, and that's my home. That's where I'm going to stay. I really enjoyed going out in the afternoon. I just think that that's where I need to be, and that's where I think I'll be for next year.
Awesome. There's an energy about that afternoon race, isn't there? I mean, there's energy about a whole GNCC, but there's something different about that afternoon.
Oh yeah. One of the things that I really liked is I'm a novice, but I felt like there was less novices out on the track in the afternoon, so I saw less bottlenecks, less jam ups. Sometimes you can be a novice but don't really want to ride with a novice, if that makes sense. Because if they make a mistake, then I'm stuck in the mistake. So and it's funny because I would never have ran a novice class in the motocross world either, just for that reason. They see everybody come into the first corner and get bound up in the first corner, where B guys are faster, but they don't make as many mistakes.
Right, and you can learn more out of from those guys too, and so it makes you faster all at the same time. Well, that's awesome. Sure. It sounds like you've really found a great home in GNCC. Finding a great home. Are you going to Ironman this weekend?
Yes, I plan on going there. Having a little bit of a problem with my bike right now. Hopefully that'll be resolved. I did some upgrades to it, and we're having a problem with the. I don't know, it's not running correctly. So my mechanic is working on it right now, and I'm sure he'll get it figured out. Chris has been my mechanic for years, and this is a new world for him as well. Going to the GNCC for motocross, you maintain things a little bit differently than you would with a motocross bike.
Yep, that's for sure. And you have to be ready and on your toes, ready to gas, ready to change something if it needs to be changed or fixed on the fly in a pit stop or something like that. I mean, it's a whole different world, but I like the challenge. I like both sports. I mean, I do. I love the visual aspects of both sports. Although you don't get to watch a lot of GNCC, I see more and I know more about what's going on out there. And just the stories that come from a GNCC are pretty cool, I think, as well. So, I see the allure, and it's something too that if you're not a jumpy type person, it's the perfect place for you to go. If you want to race and you don't feel like skying it out over these big jumps or something like that, it's a good way to go.
I agree. I do like to jump. That's always been my strong point, is jumping. So I do kind of miss that aspect of it. But at the same time, I'm getting older. So maybe I shouldn't be jumping as much. so yeah, I mean, but they're two. It's amazing because I could be just as tired coming off of a motocross track after 10 minutes of riding as coming off a GNCC track of 2 hours of riding. But it's so funny how it's two totally different muscle groups. And that's what I learned this year that I got to train for next year.
Interesting. That is very interesting. That's pretty neat. So, what's your plans for the off season? Are you going to be training a lot? Are you going to get your boy into the off-road scene of it? Are you going to try to get him out to the woods also?
Well, I plan on doing a lot of training over the winter months. More endurance training. Quite a few years ago, I ran a half Ironman, so I'm going to go back to that type of training as opposed to what I was doing for motocross. So it's going to be a little bit more time consuming, I got a feeling. It's just going to be a different type of training for me. I just have to change it up and hit different muscle groups and long-term stuff. And I think my diet's going to have to be a little bit different too. I can't drink a beer at night. It takes too much work to get rid of a beer.
That's funny.
So I just gotta change a couple of things up. And
well, I'll tell you,
as my son goes,
Yeah, there's probably a couple of guys at the GNCC that might beg to differ with you about the beer thing, but you know.
Yeah. But when you're 50, it takes a lot to get rid of those carbs.
I
That's
got
the
you.
problem. When you get to be 50, everything's work.
So,
So
all right, did you say that you're going to get your boy out? I couldn't remember. You may have said whenever we kind of cut out there for a second.
yeah. Now my son's really not going to do anything in the ATV world right now. He's made some friends in the ATV world that he talks to and whatnot. But he got a really good job in construction, and he's focused on becoming a young adult and buying a couple houses and doing kind of what I did when I was his age. Get into some investments and. He'll probably, now that I'm doing GNCCs, maybe he'll go out and ride in the woods with me a little bit, but I don't think racing is in his future because he just doesn't have the time for it.
I totally understand it. I'm sure it's one of those things, though. The bug will bite him when he gets to a GNCC. He'll say, "Well, I can do this, I bet." And next thing,
there's a chance that might happen. It's He really loved doing motocross, and he spent 4 months down at the Fords, and he got really fast, but he just didn't feel like there was a future for it, and
right.
he wanted to grow as an adult, and so he made a conscious decision to make a change.
Perfect choice. I'll tell you that. It's it's all what everybody you look at it and see what it's in it for you. Is it worth it? You go for it. If it's not, you go other places and do other things. And that's not to say that it has to be necessarily a serious thing, and that but you want to be serious about it. If you're going to invest that much time in it, you might as well be as serious as you possibly can be about it. I see your point in it completely. With that, anything special that you might want to let the folks know about here tonight, Dan?
Nothing really that special other than, I'm looking to do, well next year. And, I'll be sending out some resumes and hoping for some decent sponsors. It's a little bit different world. I was always sponsored by Walsh and, the motocross world. So now I'm kind of shifting gears and learning who the people are in the GNCC world. And, hopefully I can make some good relationships with these companies that work with the GNCC, family as well.
Well, what's stopping you, man?
I would say it's probably DP.
Yeah, I would say I would look into getting a hold of old Larry because, both ATV, motocross, whatever the case may be, they've got brakes for you. There's no doubt about it there.
Yeah, I hear you. And that's funny because that is another thing that I learned at Snowshoe. Is brakes are really important in GNCC. I lost all my brakes in Snowshoe. And so I learned real fast how important brakes were.
Well, awesome. I know a lot of the top guys use them, that's for sure. And speaking of top guys using, what's some of the other stuff? Anybody you want to send shout outs to or say thanks to before we let you go tonight?
Well, I've always been working with Chris McCauley at Real Bad Motorsports. He's always put my stuff together for me and kept me, afloat on the track. FTR Graphics has always been there for me. We've always used their graphics, and Ernie's always been a great guy to us. For next year, I don't really know what I'm going to do as far as tires go. I've always run Maxxis tires, but as I said, I'm making changes right now and trying to figure out what's going to be the best connection for me. And I think next weekend you'll see me on the CST tires and probably be running the splines in the wheels. One flat tire, you learn your lesson.
That's for doggone sure. Tire spines are certainly going to be a help for your program. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
So there's always great people in this industry, and I just gotta find those people now. I gotta find what works, and I gotta find the people that are willing to help and work with somebody my age. And I'm not a pro rider, but I'm somebody that loves the sport.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to have much problem. It's a great family as well, and you'll find that your transition won't be hard at all. You'll find a lot of new and great friends there as well, and I'm sure you'll be visiting the ATV motocross family as also. So, Dan, thanks again for being on board with us tonight. I hope that things go well for you, and I look forward to seeing you at Ironman, and then of course seeing your progress after the winter months, and see how things go for you when we start next season.
All right, that sounds great, Rodney. It was great talking to you, and I guess, like you said, it'll be great to see each other next weekend.
No doubt. That's Dan Decoteau. I'm Rodney Tomlin. This is Quad Radio Prodigies.